Welcome to Finding Certainty with your host and U.S. Army veteran, Patrick Laing. Over the next hour, you'll learn from Patrick and his expert guests how to attract more certainty into your business and your life. Now, here is your host, Patrick Laing.
Welcome to Finding Certainty. We're starting a little bit late today, but appreciate you waiting on us if you are. We've launched this new platform, this new streaming platform that's live streaming this interview to multiple different streaming sources, to YouTube, to Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, all at the same time. We'll have the recording up on YouTube afterwards as well, but so thanks for being with us. Thanks for waiting on us if you did. You got 3 old people here and 2 really old trying to figure out technology. Just kidding, Tom and Sue. But
all too true.
I'm catching up. My friend Bill is in his 60s, and he's like, I'm way older than you. I said, I'm 56. I'm almost 57, Bill. I said, I'm not that far behind. I think he's 63. He's like, whoa, you look, he goes, you got a baby face. You look a lot younger than that. So anyway, appreciate you both being on today. My guests today are very special. Tom Markel was with me last week, and we had a great conversation. We talked about estate planning and living trusts and will, and just the need for it and a solution for how to address it quickly and inexpensively. And we had such a great a dialogue as we were drilling down on it. I said, we should get together again next week. Let me invite one more guest, because I think we can continue this conversation and just and really unpack it a little bit more. And so we have our third guest today. If you're watching the video, you see her name, and it's the same as mine. My guest today is my mother, Sue Laing. So thanks for being here, Mom. I appreciate it. And Tom, thanks for coming back. I didn't scare you off the first time.
Nice to meet you, Sue.
Good to meet you, Tom.
So when we talk about estate planning, I'm going to jump right into it. I'll give you a little background on Sue. If you want to hear Tom's story, go back and listen to the episode last week. He went into a lot of detail. And I think we just lost you, Tom. We lost your camera. There you are. Okay. The conversation I said last week, we had a great dialogue. We heard some stories about Tom and his background. He's owned multiple companies. He just turned 70 just last week. So happy birthday again, Tom.
Wow, that's an old number.
Thanks, Tom.
Sue has to beat by a year or two.
79.
79. That's hard to believe, Mom. So Sue Mom, or as my daughter Brighton calls her, Grandma Soup. She thought we were calling her Soup for years when she was a little girl, but that's another story. Sue is a educator by trade. She was a honors English instructor for Brigham Young University and managed the honors writing department for many, many years. But she's also a CEO. She and her friend Marlene Jones started a franchise many years ago, and I was a teenager, which they ended up franchising all over the country and even overseas. We had franchisees in Europe and Asia as well. And we learned a lot from that experience. You've heard me talk about it on my show, about the lessons we learned from Chroma International. And so Sue has education background. She also has business background. And the reason I asked her to be with us today as part of this estate planning conversation is she and my dad, John, have put together what I think is literally the greatest gift they could give to their children, myself, my brother, my sister. And I thought it'd be good for you to hear a little bit about it today. So again, thanks for being here. If you didn't hear this show last night, maybe Tom, you could just in 60 seconds or so give a recap of what seniority is and how it works. Maybe take a minute or two to do that, and then let's dive into this gift I'm talking about that John and Sue have put together for me and my siblings that I think every family needs, and we're going to unpack today in a little bit of detail. So,
Well, Seniority was I think started in let's see, 5 years ago, 2020, September of.
mhm.
And so I think about 5 years ago. And 5 years ago, I was the ripe age of 65, right before you kind of figure out anything about Medicare and how Medicare benefits are going to help. And I thought, since I'd sold my company a few years ago and I really kind of had a little time on my hands, I would just educate myself on Medicare and the long-term care insurance and mortgage and estate planning, more on the living trust side. So I'm always been a branding guy kind of all my life in my companies. I've had 18 companies, and and I really like branding because I think branding offers a lot of value to your customers, employees, owners, and suppliers. I call them our CEOs. And so I've searched this name and name and name, and I think, okay, well, I'm getting a little wiser and a little older, although my kids would suggest I'm not getting any wiser, and because I'm not a prophet in my own land yet. So I thought about this name Seniority. So I went to trademark the name, and we got refused, and so I hired a lawyer, and we won. We won the brand trademark name called Seniority, which is a very, very hard to do, to take a word out of the English language and trademark it. It's really, really difficult to do it, but we did it. And we trademarked it for financial services. So we own just the word seniority for financial services. And I'm really proud of the fact my lawyers could kind of win that case based on some very good arguments. And so we have Seniority was started in 2020, and its purpose is to elevate people's lives. And I've always felt that in it says continue here, no free left space left on recording. Um, and so what I felt was elevating people. I've always had a mission statement for all my companies where we'd meet every week. And how does mission statement guide your decisions, and how do your core values help you execute the plan of your mission? So 12 of us in 1983 founded the Second Harvest Food Bank in Orange County, and we spent a whole weekend trying to figure out mission statement and brought in advisors, and we said alleviate hunger in Orange County. It was a plain mission statement that people could get behind. And you see people with long mission statements and nobody can remember them and nobody cares. But this one is elevating people's lives. And that's our mission statement. And our core values are grit, gratitude, respect, integrity, and trust. And so how do you run your business, and how do you make your decisions, and how do you guide your strategic planning based on core values that support the mission statement? So it's kind of like grit, respect, integrity, and trust equals your mission statement, which is to elevate people's lives. And so
I
that's
love
kind of
that.
how I've run my businesses all these years. And now if you go to my my website, it says faith-based seniority for everyone. And as you get a little older, you kind of want to do business with the people that like you and you like them, and there's some mutual respect. And it's kind of like you don't have time for bad jokes, and you don't have time for people that are going to waste your time, or people that are just don't have the same sort of morals and integrity that you do. And I know we
Right,
have
right.
to do that going up in life, and God puts us in these different positions that we can lead people into better lives. But it's very difficult as you get older to drag those people into the 21st century. I find that as I get older, it's very hard to do that. Although the Pope just said at age 7, same age as I am, 1955, said age 70 is a great time to start something new in your life. I said, all right, well, if it's good enough for the Pope, it's good enough for
I
me.
love that.
Yeah, so here we are at 70 doing something strategic with your company, Patrick, and I'm very, very thrilled that we're talking about how to make 1 + 1 = 11.
Well,
So
I
so that yeah, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. What were you going to say?
it's okay. I was just gonna say, I love what you're doing, and I applaud you. Right? I don't care if you're 70, 80. We have 80-year-olds on our team that are starting a new career with us, and they're excited, They say 70 is the new 50, right? But um, I think it's important to just say, I think I put this in a message to you earlier, that we're here on the show. I have the most important woman in the world to me, next to maybe my wife and my daughters. I mean, my mom is she's everything to me, right? My mom, my dad, and I'm so grateful. And we'll get into what they've done to protect themselves and protect us, but I'm so grateful that you are creating and have created this company that can help us protect the most important people in the world to us, right? Our parents, and our children. Um, and so many people right now are not protected in that way. Maybe you can share just a statistic to that point. I know it's
Sure. Sure.
staggering how many people don't have the protections in place that they need.
Well, as I started researching what seniority would mean to somebody, and as I was turning 65 and confused about the whole Medicare and retirement, and so I took 100 hours and studied how to be a healthcare insurance provider, because healthcare is so important as you get older. So I spent 100 hours getting my healthcare license, which allows you to be also in covered California, which, by the way, was another 100 hours. And then, remember, I had a little bit more time on my side since I'd sold my business. And then I spent 100 hours in the life insurance. But more importantly, it's not the life we're trying to insure our death. It's the life we're trying to live in some way that's convenient and better for us, which is long-term care, LTC. And what was yesterday, buying life insurance and selling the called viatical settlements, selling the policy, having cash now so you could pay for your long-term care. Now these long-term care writers are inside the insurance policies, and they're amazing. What you do is, if you bought $1 million life policy, they allow you to spend up to $100,000 a month in health care, up to that amount. Use the life policy benefits to do that, and it subtracts every month you're using that benefit all the way to $1 million. So we're living longer, so it's not about the death benefit; it's about the living benefit, and
Right.
that's what's changed in life policies. And again, that's come out in my education. The other thing I found out is retirement wealth intelligence through what the government has created as a mortgage for seniors. And I understand your parents have one of these called a home equity conversion mortgage. And this, I think I don't care how rich or poor you are, every senior should have one of these, because it allows you to tap up to 50% of your equity and not make a payment the rest of your life.
Yeah,
In certain states,
we've called them reverse mortgages for years now,
that's right.
right?
People remember this reverse as kicking 80-year-old peoples out on the street, because the mortgage exceeded the value of the property. Well, that changed in 2013. Lots of people don't know that, but the perception is that, oh my God, I'm going to sell title to a bank and to give me cash for my title, and they own it if something happens. Well, that doesn't happen anymore. You stay on title the rest of your life, and most people don't know that. Even the advisors don't know it. The financial planners don't know it. They just think, oh, it was reverse. You don't ever want to do that. Oh, no, no, they'll take your home. I hear that more times. Or the kids will say, oh, mom, dad, you don't want to do that. I mean, they're going to take your home. So educating people on this product that, in like, I'll just give you an example. I bought a home. We bought a home. We had this big 5,000 square foot home in Newport, and 5 bedrooms and all these kids. And we downsized to a 1,800 square foot condo. And we bought the condo for $1,300,000. We put 650 down, because remember, it's just about half. And my house payment was $8,000 a month, and now it's nothing. And now in the last 3 years, my accrued interest has now gone to 875. So I owe 875 on the mortgage, but my home value's gone to 2.3 million. So I've made almost $1 million on this property for no money invested, none. I mean, and this only happens in Colorado and Texas and Florida and other places, California, but it certainly doesn't happen in Omaha and Kansas City. But the fact of the matter is the government wants you to stay where you're put. They proved you live 5 years longer and you live healthier. So in other words, I've started seniority out of my own issues, my own personal experiences in life. And then I kind of wanted to elevate people's lives, and so I bought a mattress company here a few months ago. What elevates your life is good sleep. organic good sleep. So we sell our mattresses for 75% less than retail. And, that's called Nature Bed, Natur bed.com, a little selfish promote. But anyway, I'm elevating people's lives, and it's a ministry to me. And it's a ministry that does, I think, the thing that supports our mission statement, elevating people's lives. And we do it with gratitude, respect, integrity, and trust.
I like that grit,
Grit.
gratitude, respect, integrity, and trust. As I think about um, this whole topic of elevating people's lives and creating security for them. Right? Our show is Finding Certainty. That's why initially I wanted to work with you, and why we had you on the show was because you're a great example of someone who, through your work, through your career, you have sought to do exactly that, to create certainty in the lives of your customers. I've talked a little bit. Let's jump over to Sue a little bit and talk about this gift that I'm referring to. I think I'm going to make the title of this video, and I put it on YouTube, the best gift you could give your kids.
You
And
want me to give
and
you
real quick, before you go there, Mom, can you just share the statistic, Tom, of how many people don't currently have the protection that they need?
Approximately 70% of the people in the United States that own a piece of real estate, own their own home, do not have a living trust, which means that when you die or you pass away, the government automatically takes your assets, automatically. And right now there's $49 billion sitting in the coffers of the government of people that didn't pass their estate onto their family. So now lawyers are probate, they're called probate lawyers, are hired to convince the state that you are an heir of the person who just died. That takes roughly 5 years to get to court and approximately $50,000, which could have cost you less than a couple $1,000s, about an hour of time online with a professional, and wrapping that up, which your mom and your dad used. I'm looking forward to hearing that story of have obviously perceived the issue of how do I button up my state, make sure my kids and my heirs get what, and the right heirs. I mean, some people deserve more, some people deserve less, but all that mechanical issues already done so that the court can look through it, quickly say it is done, it's signed off, and kids get their assets.
That's right. And last week we talked in a little bit of at a little bit of length about what Seniority is. It's a company that provides several different services, including the mortgage you referred to. But most specifically, I was focused on this living trust, the will, powers of attorney, a financial power of attorney, a health power of attorney. And as I keep saying, my mom and dad they understood this. And let me ask you this, Mom, where did you get this understanding? Was it from your folks? Was it from an advisor? Where did you come to realize and understand that it was so important? Because there are so many out there, and it's not just people with very few assets. It can be very wealthy people who have not done this. We have a friend, his home it's $5 million house. He's made millions and millions of dollars. He still didn't have this done until he met Tom, and Tom helped him get it taken care of. But how did you learn it, Mom? Where did it come from?
I can tell you the path was when my folks, many years, many years before they passed away, purchased a funeral plan. And they purchased that funeral plan, each of them for about $750. They passed away in 1994 and in 2009. I remember my mom's best because we were the executors and handling it. And there was not a dime we had to pay out because they had looked forward and planned what to do. And so that would alleviate that weight on their kids. That was the kind of beginning point. We were aware of this long before they passed away. My husband's folks did the same thing many years later. It cost them a lot more, but still, they made that decision to take that burden off their kids, referring to a funeral plan. We also had a trust, a will, an advance directive, all of those kind of things for the same purpose, that we can put the assets that we have that are large or small, doesn't matter, into that trust, a revocable living trust, and have them protected for our kids. So we were doing uh, both of those kind of things simultaneously. We purchased our funeral plans and literally gave the kids a copy of those plans for their Christmas gift one year,
Hmm.
and felt like that was the best gift we could possibly give them. It sounds a little bit of a strange Christmas gift, but it made
We loved it.
that it would make a difference to them downstream.
You
And
know, we
then, excuse me, go
sorry,
ahead.
let me interject. We've all have friends or family or loved ones who didn't do that. In fact, just 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I went to a funeral for a friend of mine's wife, and they were scrambling to pay for the funeral and the burial, and pulling together money last minute because they they weren't prepared for that. Um, anyway, go ahead. You were saying.
You see it all of the time.
Oh yeah.
My husband has a very precise mind, and he got to thinking about this. We bought the funeral plan, we'd done the trust and the will and advance directives and all of those things. But he said those are really important steps. But there's a lot more to somebody dying than just those things. And so he started brainstorming what all your life consists of when it comes to transactions, accounts, et cetera, that people are going to have to figure out when you're gone if you don't tell them how to figure it out in advance. And so we put together what we called our graduation documents, which consist of quite a few things. One is the instructions about our funeral. Um, One is the funeral plan, but also we're kind of micromanagers. And so we also wanted to detail what we want for our funeral, what music we want, what speakers we want, how long they should take, and how long it should last. You didn't want somebody, and that is a little jab at some people who like to talk. Anyway,
And they've even written their obituaries, Tom.
that's what I was
They,
just going to say. We have also written a yours, mine, and ours obituary in the hopes that we both go at the same time and can have a dual one. But so that's done. We have also determined everything, every account. We have um, 25 different buckets into which our lives can be poured: bank accounts, investment accounts, insurance accounts, social security. All of those kinds of things all demand having a username, a password, somebody to contact, some process to contact to get those things unwound so that you don't end up like friends of ours who have been working on their parents' estate now for 3 and 4 years, almost full time. You know the trick, Tom, that is exactly what happens.
Mhm.
I suspect with the preparation that we've done in this is our red binder. It's the origin
Heard
of
all
it.
about it.
It's all in there. We originally put everything in that red binder, and then we made flash drives and gave them to the kids, and I'm sure they got lost. And besides that, a lot of things have changed. One of the things you have to do this is to have an annual review because things change in your life all the
yeah.
time. There is another aspect that is absolutely critical, and that is providing the kids with a list of people to contact when you're gone. They are scrambling if they don't have something like that. What we do is annually we have a Christmas email Christmas letter. And so by updating our email Christmas list of friends and uh, relatives and business acquaintances, whatever, we just update that and that becomes our graduation contact list as well. So it's easy. It's all of those things done. We've also put together the pictures to put a memorial together with my husband playing the piano in background, which is really cool because he's paralyzed now and he can't play like he used to be able to. So we've tried to think forward of those kinds of things, of what it would take to actually unwind our lives. And I suspect within a good full day's time, they could do the whole thing.
So you think about that, Tom.
Amazing.
Isn't that incredible to think of being able to contact people, execute finances, plan the wedding, plan the funeral, all of it in a matter of days rather than months or even years. You said earlier there's $49 billion in frozen assets, if you will. Their assets, their life insurance policies and things like that, and real estate assets that heirs cannot access because this wasn't taken care of for them. I wanted to have my mom on and have Sue talk with this because they've taken the estate planning, trust and will, and probate or powers of attorney and so forth, and taken it to the next level, which I think we all need to think about. I'm going through and doing it now. My wife and I, every Sunday, we spend an hour or so, listing out where our policies are, account numbers, usernames, passwords, who to contact. If something happened to me, who are all of our vendors for our company? Right. And so forth and so on. Who are the partners? Who owns how much? Right? What's their contact info? I can't even imagine it happening without that in place.
Yeah.
Yet it happens every day. Right.
And we're all so busy that, you think about being busy, even when you're, successfully retired, you're busy.
Yeah.
And you don't kind of create the time to sit down and people think, oh my God, I got a data dump all in one day. You can do this over time, as you were suggesting, Sue, you can just start the process of, basically you've created the asset protection module on steroids, Sue. And I think that's really, you really got to sit down and as you start dialoguing, you start creating other concepts of passwords and who accesses those passwords and who in the family has access to this and who doesn't have access to that, and then how do you create a transition, because basically you own a business. I mean, life is a business. The two of you had a business of life, and you're now moving this business to the next generation. And how do you do that seamlessly and without a lot of drama? And many times, which is really sad, is the family breaks up from a parent's dying.
Yeah. One of the things that we recognized, I mentioned we made flash drives and gave it to all our kids with this information on, which I don't know where those ended up.
Actually, Mom, let me interrupt before you go there. I want to talk about Forever. I think that's where you're headed. They have a program that we can mention. We are up against a break, though. We're gonna take a quick commercial break. When we come back, I have a question for you first, Tom, and then let's get into more of how you've digitized everything and put it in the cloud, because I think it's really valuable. So don't go away if you're listening. We'll be right back.
Certainty Management can help create more certainty in your life with our deep discount health insurance options, even for 1099s, part-time employees, volunteers, and more. Pay less to protect yourself, your loved ones, and your team. Call 888-684-3122 for a free quote today. That's 888-684-3122. Visit us on the web at CertaintyTeam.com. That's Certainty, TEAM, like Mary.com.
If you're a nonprofit in need of funding, we can help. Certainty Management is a cost reduction firm that also helps churches, schools, sports teams, and other nonprofits raise unlimited zero-cost funding. Best of all, you don't have to sell anything or ask for donations. Call 888-684-3122 to learn more today. That's 888-684-3122. Visit us on the web at CertaintyTeam.com. That's Certainty, TEAM, like Mary.com.
All right, we're back. That was fast, huh? Tom, do you mind sharing just your insight and experience a little bit more into the costs of not doing this? Because to your point, we're busy, right? The main reason I don't think it gets done is not. It's one of three things. It's either just ignorance, we don't realize it needs to be done.
Right.
We think it's going to cost too much and we can't afford it, or we're just busy, and The problem is we think we have lots of time.
Mhm.
Charlie Kirk would suggest otherwise, right? He thought he had lots of time. I hope his estate was in place, but it's a tragedy. We have I talked about this last week. My sister-in-law is in her late 30s, and she died of a cardiac arrest
Yeah.
just a few months ago. Left 4 little daughters, and so this isn't just for 65 and older.
Mm.
This is for young couples, for individuals who should have this in place. You've put together a plan that they can do for less than $2,000 and have it done. With working with attorneys in all 50 states, it can literally be done in a matter of an hour or
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
And so, but I know you've seen customers who should have done it and didn't. And can you just explain in a little more detail the costs of probate, the time and the demand and expense that's required? And then let's get back into how we can head that off with what we're talking about.
Yeah, in having done this now for almost 5 years, and being just shocked by the number of intelligent people that I know and I have a relationship with that do not have a living trust. They may have a health directive, they may have a DNR, do not resuscitate. But as you know, HEPA laws say that if you're over 18 years old, nobody, unless you've given the rights to somebody to pull the plug on you, or if you're in a coma, to talk to doctors or to guide doctors, if you don't have a healthcare directive at 18 years old or older, there's no hope for you to be able to get any healthcare advocate except for what the hospital now, because you sign this going in. We have the right to give you medicines. We have the right to do whatever it needs to do to keep you alive. And, we're the largest country in the world of living vegetables. I mean, it's just shocking how, person's 5-10 minutes at the bottom of a pool, and it says do not resuscitate, and they're doing it anyway. I just give you one example. My dad had a DNR above his bed. He was 87 and a half. He had a DNR. My sister's there with him. My sister calls the police because he was dying, and says do not resuscitate, and they resuscitated him. I mean, even they had that. She just couldn't see it happen, so she needed to do that. Well, he was a vegetable for 6 months. I mean, it was just crazy. So I think one of the, getting back to your question about why people don't do it, Randy, who you and I both know, wealthy guy, said he didn't have any time. He just didn't have the time to sit down. And yet I told him, I said, just sit down with you and your wife, give me the last 4 digits of all of your accounts, your socials, your bank accounts, your stock accounts, because they change up and down. So value is not important. What I love about this is being able to talk to your friends about it, because you're not digging into their lives to figure out how much money there is. The money moves back and forth, but to just identify those assets that you would like protection for. I think,
Tom, I think that's a really important point, that this is confidential and private.
yes.
Some people think they're going to have to open up their bank accounts and show exactly how much they have or don't have,
Right.
and they don't want to do that. And they don't have to do that when they set up a trust like this. It's all just it's just account numbers.
Right.
It's just directives. It's not specifics.
That's right. The last 4 digits tell us it's Wells Fargo. Here's the 4 digits. That's all you need to know. That's all your heirs need to know, because the money's going to go up and down and, wherever, in and out. The other thing is anything over 8. So you got HEPA laws affect anybody over 18. And then you have the same laws on the financial side. So you can't access people's bank accounts unless they've said that you have permission to access those accounts. And I'm sure you guys have gotten on the phone, says, I give access to my husband to talk to you about this issue because she didn't put me on the account. Okay, well, you need one of these. You need a financial power of attorney too. So our seniority estate plan product is 4 legs: the financial power of attorney, the healthcare power of attorney, last will and testament, and a living trust, all for less than $2,000. Now, it would cost you $6,000 just for one of those. Just for
Yeah.
one of
That's
those. So,
awesome.
yeah, and it's getting done online in the privacy of your own home, which you can fill out, online, and then the lawyers will sign it. We're the only product like this that has a lawyer that actually signs it in all 50 states. And I think the other reason people don't do it is they think cost. Oh my God, just start a lawyer. And they've been told by everybody, just to start the process, it's $5,000. Just to start it. Then you have the annual review that's $1,000 to $2,500. Sue, you have
Yeah.
your annual review.
Yeah.
It costs money to have your annual review done by a lawyer. Lawyers are starting right now at $500 an hour. So,
Yeah.
I think that's another issue on people's mind. I think the other thing is ignorance, Patrick, that you were talking about. They just don't get the fact that all they have to do is do this for about an hour. I find myself in the asset protection business, right? Protecting it from the government who's going to take this and says that, hey, we're protecting your assets until otherwise, so you can prove otherwise. Um, so
Earning interest on it.
yeah, earning interest in keeping it. So I think time, people perceive time. I don't think they understand that they need it. There's no emergency because they don't think anything's going to happen to them. They don't understand the law of I can't, as the mother of a 19-year-old that's hurt got hurt in a sport, now is in a coma, can't talk to the doctors, can't have any directive. There's nothing. I mean, you can't do anything, and you hear of athletics happening all the time. Broken neck, something happened. You need to be able
That's
to
right.
help. So these are things. I think people also don't understand the fact that if you have more than one child and you happen to pass, the amount of friction without an asset plan is going to potentially break up that family.
Yeah. Can be very
Yeah,
serious.
I think it's a really important point, and it goes back to what I was saying about this being the greatest gift you could give your children. And it's not just about the financial aspect or the assets. When parents pass, or anyone passes, especially if it was unexpected, there is so much pressure and stress and overwhelm that happens. If you can eliminate that, you still have the loss, right? You're going to have the physical loss, the mourning, or everything else you're already having to go through. But if you can remove the uncertainty and the overwhelm of it all, I think it's incredible. Now, as my mom has said, they've gone through different iterations, right? They had it all in on paper, and then they started giving us
Right.
DVDs or CDs, and then
Right.
flash drives, and now they have it all in the cloud.
Yeah,
It's
it's all
all
stored in the cloud.
digital.
Yeah.
Do you mind just sharing, Mom, the program you're using? Because
Yeah.
it's so phenomenal.
This
One,
is,
having all the answers to our questions, and two, having them right at our fingertips. Right?
yeah, exactly. No flash drives involved.
Yeah.
Uh, we use a program called forever.com, which is a permanent uh, storage that you can purchase 100 gigabytes or whatever amount you want. And you can put anything, it becomes the repository for anything that you want. We have all of our family genealogy on it, we have all our photos, our videos, our audios, all of those kind of things. But we also have all our graduation documents, the red binder that we've been talking about. And those have now they don't have it yet, but they're in the process of getting it so you can lockbox a particular album. At this point, we just control carefully who we let into it.
Mhm.
But it's an awesome. The only downside is that everything has to be PDF'd
Wow.
or JPEG or something like that. You can't put a Word document and make changes online, so you have to literally make those changes, re-PDF it, and put it up. But all the same, it has all of our estate documents, all of our funeral plans, all of the things we talked about that are now readily accessible for our kids on forever.com. And that permanent storage is, I don't know about you, Tom, but we have a lot of stuff.
Right. You do.
Most people have a lot of stuff.
Right. A lot of stuff.
And some of it's very important and some of it's less so. But
Right.
having a repository for all of those things is a really valuable way to spend these years in our life when we're done traveling, we're done doing a lot of things that we used to love to do and spend a lot of time doing. And our focus right now is getting these various things uploaded. 50 years of journals for both my husband and me. Uh, will anybody ever care? I don't know, but they mean
Right.
something to us. And so we feel like they ought to be there. We've written histories, so PDF copies of our histories are in forever. But I think the most important part of it is our uh, graduation
The
document,
red binder.
red binder.
Well, you're talking about asset protection. I mean, you're protecting the memories of you, of yourself, your family, the things that made it
Our whole
important,
family.
made life important to you.
Yeah.
This also came about as my mom and dad died. Um, my dad was a big Indian collector of Indian artifacts, and he had all sorts of Indian artifacts. And he said, "Well, of the five kids," he says, "which one of you guys would like my Indian artifacts collection?" And nobody raised their hand. It's like, "Hey,
Yeah.
Dad, that's nobody's doing that stuff. Hit the road." So there were things that were important to him, that he really loved, and it was nice to see that. But nobody cared about any
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
Indian collection things they have. I got an extensive stamp collection, an extensive coin collection, and you
Well,
know,
in our case, with things of that sort, we've done beautiful scans and put the scans of those legacy items. At least they can see what we, cared about.
yeah,
Even though they don't have to have the actual. Most people just do not have the space or the interest in a
right,
lot of collections of that sort. So
right,
it's a way to get around it and still leave a legacy of those things that are valuable to you. And with Forever, our kids can add to it. They can put their items of interest up there, and it makes life much easier these days. But it does take some time.
yeah. It takes time. You got to kind of carve it out every
Yeah.
day. You pay monthly for that service.
Nope. One time pay.
You just purchased it one time, and they
You
give you some
purchased a
storage.
100 gigabytes for just a shave under $1,000.
Okay,
And you can add to that. But we have a ton of stuff on there, and we've used only about 53%.
right.
So that
I,
100 gigabytes is pretty big. Patrick's
That's
put
big.
15,000 pictures up there.
yeah, I think 49% of that is my pictures and my mom's pictures. But
No, we have five kids, and the first one, we have boxes and boxes, and the fifth one was born, and we haven't developed the film and the camera yet.
right.
Exactly.
Right.
So,
One camera.
that we were just dealing with that this week. We have ancestral pictures, 16 by 20, that someone passed on to my brother, and he said, he's made beautiful scans, but he doesn't have places to hang these.
Right.
And we said, "What do you want to do with them?" And my husband, who is a genealogist and a historian, said, "No, don't throw them away. We'll find a house for them." So that's okay with two pictures. And we found a museum that was thrilled to death to take them, but it takes efforts to find homes for your treasures.
Right.
And
Right. Your
so,
treasures.
And all of this, you guys, is answers to questions, right? When I talk about overwhelm, it's mostly not knowing the answers. It's not knowing who is this intended for? What's the password to get into this account? Where is that life insurance policy I swear they had, right? Whatever the case might be, I think the overwhelm that comes from someone's passing and not being prepared is the just uncertainty, the not knowing the answers to the questions. My dad and I, we talk about how important it is to have foresight and to prepare and plan for the future, and that's much of what we're talking about. And how valuable hindsight is, but hindsight is hard if you don't have answers to the questions you're asking. The mid side is while you're in the middle of it. That's the best time to have these conversations, to put together these things, to answer these questions
Truly.
with certainty in the and timeliness and all parties involved. I mean, we've gone through, my parents went through and categorized everything in their home down to the dishware and said who wants what, and we went through and put I'd really love to have that statue of Christ, I'd really love to have the piano, I'd really love to have this. And so we can, by doing that, we can avoid that friction that you're referring to in that respect. And by them outlining what their wishes are and their trust and their will, that avoids any friction down the road. The executor of the trust can say, "Hey, this is what it is.
Yeah,
Take your
that's
view."
something I want to just add, and that is that part of this is also our outlining how we want those assets divided.
Yes.
And I think that that is so important. My folks were masters at that. In fact, they did the thing Patrick was just talking about. They had us all deliver their home and pass pictures around of all they had. And there's some things nobody wants, and that
Right.
you live with that. But it made for a very loving, harmonious kind of thing rather than a bickering,
Right.
argumentative thing.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
But, you know,
And there
that,
might be some bickering. My brother and my sisters, I have three sisters and a brother, and I wanted my grandparents' grand baroque silver place settings. We do a lot of entertaining, and we bought 12 ourselves. And my grandmother had 12, and my mother bought 12, and they're all grand baroque. So that's 36 pieces of grand baroque. Three spoons, two knives, three forks.
yeah.
I mean, it was just stunning, stunning stuff. I mean, and my brother that does entertaining, and my sister lives in Washington, and she entertains. So there's this big kind of fight, and
We had to arm wrestle over it.
we drew the straws. We just drew a straw, and who gets it, and we got it. I mean, so the gods were good to was good to
yeah,
us, and so we have this.
you have to figure out that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Who's going to feel left out? Who is this going to be important to, and who is this going to hurt if they don't get it?
right,
And you hope that by your thoughtful pre-preparation, whether it's money or assets or whatever, that they recognize that you've done your best to make it fair.
right,
Yeah, and it's not always about money. It's
No,
it's the emotional
right.
attachment that we have to things, and
Yeah,
how much easier is it to talk with the people who are making those decisions and the people impacted by them if you're doing it while you're all alive, right?
right.
I
it's
mean, it's a lot easier,
A
right?
lot easier. A lot easier. Yeah, exactly. Well, I think that's it's a testament um, to I think the love that you, Sue, and your husband have, and it is a love affair for the future generations. A personal story. We have a daughter hasn't spoken to us in 15 years,
mm,
so nobody would know a generation below us that we have a daughter that we had for 25 years. We had a daughter for 25 years. She was a top water polo player. She got accepted to Loyola Marymount on a full scholarship. She became a master's in theology, and she shared our life with us for 25 years. And she went to Berkeley, and after that, we never saw her again.
mm.
And so, it's a real sad thing to come around the Christmas holidays and not have a daughter that's involved in the family. But there's this generational piece that'll go on, and no one will know unless we put the photos together and unless we tell the story of Annie. Nobody will know that you had an aunt, and she's out there somewhere. We just don't know. Maybe she'll reconnect. There's a great, great book called um, Fractured Lines, about why one generation or two generations ago there was a fight over politics or over lunch or over something stupid, but the collateral damage is generational,
Yeah, yeah.
and it didn't need to be. And so maybe there's a point of how do you bring unity to a generational issue by doing what you just did, Sue, is a testament to love.
Well, you do the best you can.
Yeah, well, I
Well,
mean,
you
you're doing
do.
the best you can by having memories, genealogy charts. I mean, these are things that are wow. I mean, we have a timeshare up in Snowbird.
Mm,
Actually, we have two of them, and it's the first week of April. And so that we ski every other day, and we play golf every other day, or we fly fish every other day. But one day we didn't have anything to do, so we went down to the Mormon library down there downtown,
my search library. Yeah.
the research library, and these little old ladies said, "Okay, I got to help you, cute kids." I mean, we're not kids obviously, but and so she gave us a computer, and we went in, and she said, "Just type your first name in," and we typed it in, and I go back to 1453, and my dad had said, "We are the inventors of the croissant roll." I said, "Oh yeah, Dad, sure, 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 sure." Well, here we are. Louis Croissant lived in Germany, and he invented the croissant roll, but he didn't see a market for it, so he went to France, moved to France, and he created the croissant roll. And here's Louis Croissant. Here he is, and he's got generations of
Oh,
croissants.
how fun.
Wow, that's cool.
Wild, yeah.
I'm going to
That's
start calling you Tom Croissant Markel.
Croissant. And so anyway, my wife goes in there, and she's American Indian, part American Indian, and Irish and German, and all this. We haven't done that 23andMe thing. We just went to the library. She goes back 2,300 years before Christ. I mean, this thing went. I mean, it went going on. I mean, she's got Queens of Egypt in like 320. I mean,
Wow.
I don't know how this all got populated, but it just kept going on and on. We called the lady over and says, "Is this going to stop? I mean, when's I think it's using all the electronics in the organization to pull the data in." So
Yeah.
anyway, it was really kind of a fun experience. But we sent this, the round pieces that go out to the round, on the jet. Anyway, we sent this. Yeah, we sent this to our kids, and they were blown away.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah.
blown away by it.
Not only to have the names, but the next step is to find the stories that go with it.
Yeah, that's
It's
the
like
hard
your
part.
story of the croissant.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
That's a great story. It's a wonderful story.
As I was talking with you last week, Tom, and hearing your stories of your, from working with Adidas and your roller skate business, and all the way up through investment banking, Seniority now, and Nature's Bed. We all have those stories from our lives that have formed who we are. You wouldn't know this about me, but I have a daughter who hasn't talked to me for 10 years with no explanation.
Yeah.
We didn't have a fight.
Yeah.
We didn't have a falling out. There was nothing inappropriate. She just cut me out and will not answer it. And her siblings tell her she's being stupid.
Oh.
And it's painful, but you still have
Sorry to hear that.
so many memories. So I resonate with what you're saying, and I have so many memories of her and pictures of her when she was 16 and less, right? She's now in dental school in Minnesota and got a full ride scholarship to Wellesley College, and I wasn't able to go and cheer her on. And
sad.
And I'm so proud of her, but we have this separation, which to me is perplexing. I don't understand it, but I want to leave my children a message that I love you. I did the best I could as your dad. Everything that we've built can bless you as well. And I want to make sure it's clear and transparent and delivered. And so I'm eternally grateful that my parents have gone to this effort. It's taken a long time to put together this binder and all of the information in it and so forth. But it is a labor of love. I do want to make this point, if I may. My mom keeps talking about her parents, and my grandmother, Lucille, was a biographer and wrote several books. And her secret to completing that task was that she made a goal to write at a specific time every day for a specific amount of time, right? And she would say, some days I struggle to write one paragraph, and the next day I knock out 3 chapters, right? And so this type of planning and preparation work, I think, falls into the same category. We can't get to it when we have time for it. We have to set aside and schedule time to make it happen. The good news with Seniority is that initial trust and will and powers of attorney that are so important can be done very quickly and very inexpensively. The rest of it, everything that goes into the red binder, or you can have a blue binder if you want, or a yellow binder. I mean, it doesn't matter what color, right? I think making a goal as a couple or as an individual to make it a priority, and then scheduling the time to do it is the only way it's going to get done. My wife and I have set a goal to every Sunday afternoon, we're spending at least an hour on this aspect of our lives, and hopefully I don't die before then.
Right.
I think it's really, really important. And if it's all right with you, Mom, I'd like to get a list of everything that went into your, or at least the categories, and I'll put it into the to the description of this video, so anybody who's listening to this can look at
25 buckets.
it. Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
just the
it's
estate.
robust, right? No,
Right.
it's in depth. I mean, I'm a detail person. I got it from my parents, right?
Yeah.
They are anything but, they're nothing but not detailed, right?
Yeah.
So, any last thoughts, Tom? Just in closing, and then I'll have you, Mom.
You know
wrap
what I
it up.
loved about your talk last week, or your question to me was, are there any defining moments in your life that were kind of epiphanies, or things that you stand out that you learned the most from in your life? I love that question, which I think would be really great questions to answer in your estate plan. Is that moments in your life where they were epiphanies, or they were moments of profound truth, or the aha moment. I don't know, people call them different things, or the greatest education. I love that. And I was thinking about it afterwards, and it'd be a wonderful thing to write. Then I was just talking to my brother-in-law, who his daughter gave him this homework assignment. It's a website, it's an app, and I sent it to you in paper form. I know, no, it's not. It's an app, and it's electronic. And every day you're asked a question that you would answer you would answer this question about your life. It takes apparently about, I want to say it's a 3-month exercise in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know the name of that. I wish I'm
Well,
going to
my
go.
story.
Is it My Story? Is it?
Well, there are things like that, which I think are just absolutely awesome, because writing your history is a difficult thing for a lot of people, and parsing it out that way makes it doable. One of the things I wanted to just mention about stories, it's one thing to have names, but it's another thing to have stories, because they have shown in research over and over again that if you have written about or have the stories to the hardships and the joys of a person's life, and those things are handed down to your children, grandchildren, great grandchildren, whatever, that it is the most important way to help them get through their hard times. My parents did this, or my grandparents were,
Right,
you know,
right.
did this, and that makes a huge difference. So it's worth the effort.
As my dad got older, it's interesting. My wife and I went down every Tuesday. We were in Newport Beach, and we'd go down to San Diego to see my parents every Tuesday. We'd leave about 5 o'clock, get down there about 6:30, and then we'd have dinner with them about 9:30. And we saw the aging of them over a 22-year period. We did this for 22 years.
Wow.
Wow.
And it was really interesting in the last couple of years of his life how he went from the stories of high school and military and war and business and kids and all that stuff. And he went from that down to about 8th grade. He
Hmm.
started remembering more. And my wife said, "You need to record these." And,
Yes.
I go like, I didn't do that. She, just didn't record the stories of my dad's life prior to high school. And he started to remember back. Oh, I remember in 8th grade when we did this. It was crazy out to. How does the mind do that?
I don't know, but it's well worth having that happen, taking the time to record them.
No question about it. In hindsight, everything's 2020 in hindsight, but
It is.
wish, wish.
Well, and I'm a big believer in getting it not just in writing, but get some audio recordings.
Yeah.
We have my parents have a recording of me and my brother and sister singing Bob Bob Black Sheep when we were little kids, and Twinkle Twinkle Little Star in our little New Zealand accents. We lived in New Zealand as a child, and we had Kiwi accents at that time.
Right.
And
With
that's so
playing
much
this little violin.
with me playing my violin. Yeah, it's so fun hearing that from when we were kids, right? So anyway, thanks for sharing that, Tom. And Mom,
Thank you.
anything you would share in closing? We're right up against the end of the hour here, but
You are. It's been delightful to meet with you, Tom.
Thank
What
you.
you're offering for $2,000, everybody should go out today and get it, because that is so invaluable. You can broaden and add to it easily, but that's a foundation. And add to it a funeral plan. Even if you
Yeah,
want to
funeral
do
plan.
it, it's a fourth the price, but
Yeah,
get something.
yeah,
Leave the family some help.
100%.
and storage comes with it for $2,000. Digital storage.
Well, and a review, doesn't it, Tom? Doesn't it
Yeah.
include the
And
review?
annual review. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
That
that's
is-
incredible, unheard of,
Yeah.
right? You can find it. Go ahead and share the website if you would, Tom. I know it's on the last show, but
Seniority.ai. SENIORITY.ai.
yeah,
Seniority.ai.
we are sharing it with our clients. We've introduced Tom to a good friend of ours who has an enormous senior network that we're going to be rolling it out with.
That would be so valuable.
Talk about creating certainty for people, right? I mean,
Yeah.
what better way can we do that? And so I appreciate you both being on the call. Thanks. I've been trying to get my mom on here for 3 years. She's a hard nut to crack.
She's the busy one.
So nice. So nice to meet you, Tom.
Nice to meet you, Sue. God bless.
Thank you.
See you,
You
Patrick. God bless you. Thanks for
I
having me.
appreciate you guys. Thanks for being here. And I look forward to ongoing conversation. And I talk to my mom every Wednesday night and Sundays. So I'll see you again soon. But thanks for being here on Finding Certainty. If you're listening with us, certainty is out there. You can find it. We can help. I wish you the very best. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk to you next week.
God bless.
Thanks for tuning into today's episode of Finding Certainty. We hope you've gained some more insight into how to create more certainty in your own business or nonprofit. Join us next week for another taste of the Certainty Experience. Until then, we wish you greater certainty in all that you do.